Hey, what's up guys? So we are going to be going over a bunch of cards that you should pick up, as well as a bunch of cards that you should get rid of, because not only are we going to have a ban list coming around just around the corner, but we're also going to be getting Primal Origins, and that's going to be changing the game up a bunch. We have Sylvans coming out, we have there's a few cards from our Dolces, but really what it comes down to is Angeli is going to absolutely make the deck insane. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. First off, I do want to mention that these are all basically guesses. I mean, I can't guarantee you guys if you pick up Dolce Magdalene that it will go up in price, but there's a high probability that if Angeli doesn't get her effect changed, or depending on the rarity of some of these cards that are coming out in Primal Origins, that can also kind of determine the price as the cards kind of stand right now, because if a card's secret rare, sometimes players won't want to actually build the deck. But that said, let's go ahead and jump right into it. First off, Dolce Magdalene. Now this card was already kind of expensive just because it was, Dolces and they're cute, and there are people that collect Yu-Gi-Oh cards. They don't actually just want to play the game, but this is a card I don't think you really want to run one of if you're playing in Dolces, and that's kind of why I would guess it's expensive. And everything in the deck is relatively inexpensive anyways. It's just Magdalene, Hoot Cakes, and whatever rarity Angeli is, which more than likely will probably be secret rare for TCG. But that said, this deck is really strong and it's really consistent, and it can throw up a really nasty field, and then if you counter their field, they're going to add everything back to their hand. They're going to do it the same thing the next turn, so you better be ready to face against this deck. Next up, Boutin, Yamato, anything Boutin related. I feel like they keep on releasing support, and they're going to continuously do it until the deck does amazing. Spellbooks was supposed to be good with High Priestess, and then they're like, oh, no, it still didn't work. Okay, we'll go Master. Oh, still didn't work. Okay. You know what? Just release the Judgment. Release the Kraken right there, and that was a card that, like, broke the game. And that, no card I have ever seen in Yu-Gi-Oh! That has been more broken than that. Like, that was like, what are you doing, guys? Like, I don't know. But anyways, I don't think Boutins will get a Spellbook of Judgment, but they keep on releasing the support for it. There's a card where it banishes all of your opponent's monsters and then like they can't even summon. So there's a really nasty card coming out for Boutins. I forgot what the exact text is, but it's an okay card. The downside isn't like too big. I believe you banish your own Boutin monster and you banish like all the other cards, but then your Boutin comes back and then there's no summoning for like a turn. It's a pretty good card, and I feel like Boutins, it's a relatively easy deck to play, so I feel like if you're interested in playing Boutins, maybe pick them up now before they release more support. Like, once they announced, like, the Graceful Charity for the Sylvans, everything in that deck completely shot up, because everyone's like, well, it's Graceful Charity. So, I mean, it might be good if you're interested in playing Boutins to pick them up now. If you are a vendor, I don't know if I would hold out on, purchasing a bunch of these, because I really feel like they're going to release some more support, and it might be too long down the line. It might be too long down the line to where a reprint gets announced. At that point, well, you kind of lost your investment. But who knows? Maybe, like, after Primal Origins, I'll be like, you know what, let's release Boutin Spellbook of Judgment. But next up, we have Glowup Bulb. Now, this one is totally a card that is banned, and it may never, ever come back into the game. But, they've brought Spellbook of Judgment into the game, and at that point, anything is possible. So, Glowup Bulb, the reason why people think it's going to come back is because they're trying to push Sylvans. When they release a Graceful Charity, they want that deck to be amazing. So, that's basically a sign that, there might be a chance. Also, if you have Glowup Bulb, it's a pretty good time to get rid of this card. Personally, for me, if I had Glowup Bulb, well, I have one, but I love using it for video, so I keep it. But if I had, other Glowup Bulbs, I would get rid of them right now. They're kind of hot for the price right now, and I honestly don't see this card coming back because it's too good for other decks. Obviously, in Sylvans, you don't even need this card to be amazing. It would be amazing in Sylvans, don't get me wrong. If you're interested in picking up Sylvans, hey, I recommend you to pick up one. This card, well, there's no point of running more than one Glowup Bulb, so if you're interested in playing, hey, maybe pick up one. Like, if you can get it as a throw-in, hey, that's amazing. I would tell you guys the prices of these cards at the way they stand right now, but there's going to be a huge fluctuation in prices just because, someone might view this video tomorrow, someone might view this video, I don't know, a couple weeks from now, and that will definitely change the price. But as of right now, Glowup Bulb was like an easy 10 bucks. I mean, some people are trying to push like the 15, 20s, but this is a pretty hot card just right now because of the potential that it can come back to the game. Because like I said, if they were releasing Graceful Charity for that deck, they really want the deck to be good. And as some of you guys have seen, the deck is pretty nasty, so it has a lot of potential to not even be necessary for the Sylvan deck, but it's still a pretty nasty card if it comes back. Next up, our big boy, Dark Strike Fighter, and I've already mentioned it in my other video, but if you haven't checked that out, I'm just going to briefly talk about it right now so you guys don't have to check that one out. But basically what it comes down to is, Dark Strike Fighter is getting his effect changed in the OTG, which everyone thinks is going to be also changed in the TCG. Now here's the thing, if Dark Strike Fighter gets his effect changed in the TCG, he will also need a reprint to actually change his effect. Therefore, that reprint should be accessible to everyone. It'll be probably reprinted in like a gold special edition tin. I don't know what they'll do. They should make it relatively easy to get. They're not going to reprint this as a secret rare unless it's one of those promotional packs like the mega pack, you know, something like that where it's a secret rare. And at that point, it's not going to bust the $50 point. So I really don't recommend you guys to pick up a Dark Strike Fighter. If you already have one, hey, you're already set to go. You don't need to do anything with it. But I still recommend you guys to get rid of, you know, Dark Strike Fighters, because if it gets reprinted, I mean, you guys honestly see the reprint causing this card to go over like 25 bucks, because, I mean, this card has been fluctuating so much for the past couple days. It's gone up at least, like, you know, well, it was like, what, $2, and now some people are going from anywhere to 10 to like 20 bucks-ish. I don't know if it's going to change, like I said, at the time of this video. That's about what it's going for. But I really don't see this card being like super expensive. I see the reprint probably being a few bucks, and unless you're one of those guys that loves the rarities and you don't want a gold rare or a common Dark Strike Fighter, I'm going to guess they're going to release it as a gold card, but, you know, I just don't think it's a good idea to invest in a Dark Strike Fighter. Like, hands down, do not buy hundreds and hundreds of Dark Strike Fighters in order to make profit. Like, some of you guys, I remembered a while ago, I was like, breakthrough skill guys, this is a hot time right now, and then a bunch of you guys picked them up, and then it jumped up, I don't know, like a week or two later, it jumped up like crazy, and then a reprint got announced, and so you have to know when to get rid of cards. That's an important thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! But next up, Goyo Guardian. This card always jumps up. This and Chaos Emperor Dragon, for I don't know what reason, there's some crazy guys like, oh man, Chaos Emperor Dragon's coming back, I gotta pick them up. Every time, Goyo Guardian, and, well, okay, let's be honest. Goyo Guardian has a much higher chance to come back into the game than, say, something like Chaos Emperor Dragon. Chaos Emperor Dragon is beyond amazing, but, I mean, like I said, Spell of Judgment. That's my excuse for everything. But anyways, I feel like Goyo Guardian has a better chance to come back than Chaos Emperor Dragon. Some of you guys mentioned that Draco Sack was a good card that you can get back, because the way I see it, also, I don't know how Pendulum Summons work with Goyo Guardian, but anyways, basically, it special summons the monster that you attack and destroy, and send to the graveyard, and a special summon in the defense position. And Draco Sack is about the only one that I could see you using for XYZs. There probably is a few other ones, but the most common one that would be actually good is probably something like a Draco Sack. But this card is still insane. I mean, it's got a really good attack for level 6. I don't think anything can, like, triumph over it. I mean, heck, Gaia... Thunder Charger can't even get over. Well, no, is it Gaia? Force of the Earth. That's the guy. He can't even run over Goyo, and he's unaffected by Fiendish Chain. But anyways, Goyo Guardian is a really nasty card, and you know, if it comes back into the game, would I be surprised? I don't know. I mean, like I said, XYZs are kind of the hot thing, and Pendulum Summon's going to be the next hot thing, but we'll have to see what the ruling is for this. But this card always jumps up in price, so if you have Goyo Guardian, I recommend to get rid of them and, you know, just be done with it, because they're hot right now, and they probably won't be hot after the ban list comes out, and they're not banned. And I wouldn't hold on. If you have one, you can maybe hold on one. But if you have multiple, there's no way they'll be like, oh, Goyo Guardian comes back at 3. Very rarely will a card ever go from banned to 3. It's just, unless there's some new errata or there's something else, you know, it's very rare. But like I said, if you have one, you're good to go. Next up, Formula Synchron. This is kind of a smaller card. I'm going to be talking about other smaller cards. Let's go ahead and talk about Lone Fire Blossom as a common. Vandy's Emptiness, Upstart Goblin's Reckless Greed. Those are really good commons, so if someone's like, you know, you're trading and they're just a few bucks off, you'd be like, oh hey, can you throw in that Lone Fire Blossom? Even though I think the card's probably like $5 right now, which is kind of crazy. But, you know, cards like Upstart, Reckless Greeds, you know, a couple bucks here and there, it adds up, you know, so those are great commons. Formula Synchron, at one point, before its reprint, it was only a rare card, and this card was actually like 15 to 20 bucks. And it's like a solid 5 now. I feel like Sylvans are the deck that's going to be using the most, but this card is just like a very solid card, so if you're interested in playing Sylvans, you know, just pick some of these up. Well, I mean, it's at 1 right now for, I don't know what reason. I don't think it would be that broken in Sylvans. But this and Slacker Magician are pretty good cards in the active deck. Randomly, you'll be able to make them, and they will save you. More importantly, Formula Synchron, because you can make Quasar if you play the deck right, but it's a little bit conditional. But there's probably something that's going to make it relatively easy to pull off. But I feel like Formula Synchron, if you can pick up a bunch of these for relatively inexpensive prices, you can make a few bucks profit. It's a smaller card, but nonetheless, small profit adds up. You have a bunch of them. Next up, for whatever reason, Mystic Piper is just like expensive. The other day, my friend was like, do you got any Mystic Pipers? And I was like, nah, I don't have any of those. And he's like, did you check the price on them? I'm like, no, this is crazy. But, I mean, what deck is running Mystical Piper? And it comes back to the idea of, if you're playing Mystic Piper, you're going to be playing 3. I don't think someone will be like, yo, I'm going to play my Gladiator Beast, I'm going to tech in a Mystic Piper. Like, that's like next level meta. I feel like card D, like, if you want to go for that draw, like, power aspect of the game, I guess you could say, card D is just where the card is at. But Mystic Piper, for whatever reason, is kind of expensive. So, if you can pick these up, you know, for relatively inexpensive, yeah, I would recommend picking these guys up. I don't see this card getting a reprint anytime soon. But it's just kind of one of those cards, kind of like, if you guys remember, tuning was like expensive for no reason, like for the longest time. It was one of those like fan cards. This could be just conditional to, you know, maybe a Chaos deck. I know they're releasing some more support for Chaos, so maybe some players are like stalking about these for, you know, a Piper Chaos deck, but for me, the most part, I don't see it really being like really insane. But if you have these, it's kind of a hot time to, I guess to say, to get rid of them. Next up, Blackhorn Heaven. I see this card being a really, really good card. Now, this is probably not the card that you'll probably want to invest into to make like a huge profit, but I think it's a great card in the side deck, and when you pick these up now, you might be able to save yourself a few bucks in the future. I mean, this card comes in rare, ultimate rare. I mean, obviously, if you get the ultimate rare ones, those are obviously worth more than like the secret, because the secret is in some Yugi's world. It's in some like raw mega pack, one of those promo pack things. But I love this card. It's like Solemn Judgment, but like you don't have to pay. It's, well, sometimes Solemn Judgment is much better because it can make things like Dark Hole, which everyone always happens to draw when I go for Abyss Gyos. But anyways, Blackhorn Heaven is just a fantastic card because it stops, you know, things like Judgment Dragon. It stops all XYZs and all Synchros. And then you don't have to pay 2,000 life points. So I like this card a lot. If Pendulum Summoning comes out and they ban, like, you know, Warning, because like they gotta support the Pendulum monsters, right? I feel like Blackhorn Heaven has a huge potential to be one of those cards that people start running in the main deck, because pretty much I would say most decks, even as of right now, Firefist can get away without XYZ, but I mean, pretty much what makes the deck good is the coach, and the coach being able to just be like, okay, Tiger King, add Tenki, go for a coach, and then be able to make, you know, basically one card to set up to not only get one card XYZ, but also set up to get an additional plus later on in the future. And this card can kind of just shut that you know, play down. And once you disrupt that combo, sometimes you can leave them in a really bad situation. But I love this card. I think this card's fantastic. And if you get ultimate rare ones, you can make a lot more. But I think it's a great card, not only in the main deck in the future, but in the side deck as well. Next up, Imperial Tombs of Makaveli. I recommend getting rid of this card. There's no more support that I know of that's going to be making Gravekeepers any better than they are right now. For some reason, I thought this card was pretty good too, but play the deck, guys. Honestly, play the deck, run triple of these, because I don't see why you wouldn't want to play triple of these. Like, it's a really good effect, but the problem is, like, sometimes it just doesn't work out. I mean, pretty much the best plays that Gravekeepers have, I believe it has to be face up, by the way. It just says, well, both a Gravekeeper monster and Necrovalley are on the field. I believe it has to be face up, but if I'm wrong on that, hey, disregard what I'm saying. But I really feel like the best play Gravekeepers have first turn is still set Spy. Like, Necrovalley Spy and then set everything. Like, that's like their best play. And if Heavy Storm comes back into the game, which is a thing that can happen, no one will want to play Gravekeepers again. Because, like, if you've played Gravekeepers and you get Heavy Storm and you don't have, like, Starlight Road, which no one really is playing right now, I feel like you're going to lose. Like, a Heavy Storm makes a game for that deck. Unless you have, you know, obviously Starlight Road. But this card, it can technically prevent things like Heavy Storm. But you have to, like, summon your monster face up. And, like, there's, I guess you can kind of argue Descendant because it has 2,000 attack. There's Recruiter, but like you wouldn't want to like first turn summon Spy, right? Like you just would be minus at that point. This card is just conditional. Like I said, guys, try this out. Try running 3 of these. Well, obviously, I don't think you wouldn't want to run triple of the Searcher that searches out Necrovalley. But the problem is, like, sometimes it just doesn't work. Like, other times you open up with, like, really cloggy hands, and, like, I can't do anything because you don't have Necrovalley. And at that point, this card's completely dead. And, you know, Gravekeeper is kind of a slower deck, I would say, and sometimes you might just get finished off. If you open up with, like, 2 of these and you just don't have the, like, you know, Necrovalley, and, well, obviously, getting a monster, sometimes it can be hard in that deck because you don't have very many monsters, because it's, like, triple Spy and you got your triple Searcher. Like, just try the deck, guys, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But the main point is nothing is coming out for Gravekeepers that is going to be making this good. As of right now, it's about 20-ish bucks. I remember when this card was like 70 bucks, and I was like, did you guys even try making this deck? Because it's not that consistent. Like I said, Gravekeepers is a much slower deck, and some other decks are just like Mermails, you just like activate this against one of their things, and they'll just be like, oh, I'll activate like 5 more things. Do you have a response to these 5 more monster effects? Nope. Okay, well, I'm gonna beat you by blowing up everything. Like, they have a Vanity's Emptiness. They have this, like, the deck, I don't know, just try the deck. Like I said, try it and find out for yourself why it's not that it's a slow deck too. Next up, Coach Soldier Wolfwalker. Everyone is afraid of a reprint of this card, as well as potential to be hit on the ban list. So if you have these, I recommend you guys to get rid of them. Personally for me, I've only had a few of these. I don't have any more. But this card is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's the fact that, like, you can target one, and you can only use the effect of Coach Soldier Wolfwalker once per turn. Like, like, what? That's, like, it gets its effect as many times as it wants. Well, I mean, obviously once per turn, but that's just its effect. Its effects are negated, but, like, it doesn't matter. You're going to XYZ. This card is just way too good. It's just, like, free XYZs for them, and obviously they can search it with Tenki, so then they redo the whole thing over. This card's good. Don't get me wrong. It's just that when the ban list comes around, if Tenki gets hit, that kind of hurts this card a little bit too. Not because you can't search for it, but like it's basically, it doesn't allow you to recycle as much as they would want to. And this card, I mean, if it goes down to 1, I think some players were talking about just running Call of the Haunted, because, like, getting that 1 Wolfwalker is not that bad. And obviously if the card goes down to 1, or if they hit Tenki or something like that, then Call of the Haunted would be a pretty hot card. I mean, it's still like a 1-card XYZ at that point, and that's basically what you want to do. And then, heck, you could even run something as crazy as, like, Zephyros, and then you can bounce back, go for, you know, crazier XYZ plays. But the way I see it is, ban list is around the corner. Fire Fists have been topping, you know, pretty much every, you know, huge tournament, at least, you know, once. Like, there's multiple Fire Fist decks, and there's multiple Mermail decks. As far as Mermail goes, everything is relatively inexpensive in the deck, so I don't really see a need to get rid of anything. If you have secret rare Mermail stuff, you're probably a person that loves high rarity stuff anyways, and at that point, I would assume that if you wanted to get rid of them, you probably would have got rid of them a while ago. But the thing is, as far as Mermail goes, I don't know what's going to get hit. Sphere could get hit, and, like, that card's pretty cheap anyways. Lyn can get hit, and that card's pretty cheap anyways. I mean, Megalo's already got the reprint, and Bistius isn't expensive. For Mermails, like I said, everything's pretty inexpensive in the deck, so I don't really have a suggestion, but you can get rid of, like, everything if you want to. Next up, number 101, Silent Honor Ark. I feel like this card's going to keep on going up in price. This card is one of the best XYZs, like, ever made. I know that there's Extinction Knight, and some people think that card is really insane. I personally think this card is better. Obviously, the other card has better effect, but this card has way better utility. It's defensive, offensive, and it can shut down your opponent. You can steal a Grapha and be like, nope, no more Grapha coming out of the graveyard. And then he protects himself too. That's pretty good, and basically leaves the field blank for you. You can just go in for your attack. I think this card is by far the best XYZ that is generic right now in the game. Like I said, Extinction Knight's pretty good, but the problem that I see with Extinction Knight, even though this is technically a video on, like, you know, profiting off cards, the way I see Extinction Knight is you already are at a disadvantage when you make that card, and then at that point you can't deal damage, you can't go in for your OTKs. And I feel like this card, it opens up OTKs, it opens up stuns. This card is just amazing. This card's where it's at. If you don't have one right now, I don't see a reprint coming out anytime soon, so I highly recommend you guys to pick one of these up. Even though they're kind of expensive, I don't see it coming you know, down in price, because that card is hot. Next up, we have Fire Formation Tenki in Ultimate Rare. If you only have commons, disregard this, because that's completely irrelevant. Tenki simply because if Fire Fists get hit, pretty much that's the deck that runs Tenki. I mean, obviously there's Boutin, so you're not at a complete loss, but the main reason why this card is so expensive is just because, I would say, of Fire Fist. And that's basically the deck that has been topping, I would say, the most. I'd say out of all the decks that have been topping, Fire Fist has probably topped the most out of, you know, all the top decks as of right now. And like I said, it's just the ultimate rare one that I would get rid of. If you have comments, who cares? Next up, Trishula. A lot of players think this could come back. Goes back to the whole Goyo idea and Chaos Emperor Dragon, but that's not coming back. Trishula can possibly come back. I mean, it's really easy to make in Sylvan, so hey, more support to Sylvans. That's the deck I think that they would want to support the most. This one is totally up in the air as far as it coming back. I think this one has a better chance to come back than Goyo Guardian, but, you know, they can both come back. Hey, why not? Anyways, next up we have a really obscure card, Scrap Authoros, or Authoros? I believe how it's pronounced. Anyways, this card is like, I remember it was like it was a quarter at one point. I remember it being a quarter, and then it went to, like, you know, 50 cents for like a long time. Like, no one wanted this card because, like, everyone's like, Scraps. That deck sucks. I still think Scraps is like a mediocre deck. I don't think that deck is bad. It's just that the deck basically has one summon, and they're getting some 4 support, so the deck is, it's heavily OTK based. Like, you can OTK so easy in the new Scraps, because once you destroy a Scrap, it's like, oh, go ahead and spot someone in the deck, and like, it becomes really nasty. This card is basically used in a really, really simple loop. I don't know if I have a video to link you guys, but if I do, I'll link it in the future. I'll actually, you know what? I'll do a gameplay of it, because I don't remember when I actually have that video, or what I even titled that video. So I'll be playing Scraps, and I'll show you guys the basic combo with it. This card's about $10 right now. If you guys have these, sometimes guys, if you go to card shops, they'll check a price on a card and they won't like change the price for, you know, months because, you know, new sets come out. And then like maybe this card will still be like $1, and if you pick these up for like $1, $2, hey, you can sell them for $5 real quick, or hold on to it and try to get, you know, the actual price was 10, but it can go up in the future. But this is kind of like one of those obscure cards. It's like, what? Why is this card expensive? Next up, we have Lightsworn cards. I've been talking about it forever, but I'll stop talking about it once it stops increasing in price. Check the price for first edition Judgment Dragons. I don't know why they're so expensive right now, but I think it's because, you know, I've been telling people about, you know, Lightsworn being so good. The deck is going to be good, not because the deck is so good. The deck's pretty good. It has bad hands. It has really bad hands at times, especially when you're running triple of the Felice, that cat Lightsworn. But there are times where that deck just sacks you to the point where, like, it doesn't matter what deck your opponent is playing, he could open up with the best hand and be like, nah, Judgment Dragon. And you just win. Even against Evil Storm, sometimes you sack some person. I remember Raiden, you know, from Metal Gear, that new Lightsworn Raiden, he's able to mill, and if he gets Felice, he pops Ophion, and then you just go ahead and mill more. You mill Felice, go for more Felice, and it's just, problems happen. Like, that deck can get really nasty, and it's always been kind of like a fan favorite deck. It's one of those, like, well, this deck is much better than Crystal Beast, but like for whatever reason, people still love Crystal Beast. Kind of like how still people love Lightsworn. They've always loved it. And lastly, Ultimate Rare Lila Lightsworn Sorcerers. It also got reprinted as a super. I guess you can get a couple bucks for the super, but the ultra rare one, for whatever reason, at the time of this video, was almost 20 bucks. Like, why? Like, that card was, like, when the card first came out up to a few months, it was like 7 bucks, but for whatever reason, it's almost hitting 20 bucks right now. If you are a high rarity player, I don't see these going down anytime soon, because, like I said, ultra rare ones. I'm not talking about commons or supers. I got Battle Pack. I think Battle Pack got printed super. I don't know. Either way, this card's pretty hot in ultra rare form. Probably ultimate rare form is what the high rarity people would like to see. But for the most part, guys, if you are interested in knowing what the meta is going to be, I personally, like I said, these are all guesses, you know, because like I said, like all these prices for cards going up and down in price, they're all guesstimates, but they're pretty good ones. Well, you guys can argue with me on that, because, you know, sometimes it always doesn't work out that way. I'm guilty for saying Nitrate Bamboo Shoot is going to be the best thing ever, but then, like, Vela was a thing, and then, like, Nitrate Bamboo Shoot, fortunately, went kind of minus with that card, but you guys have to admit, that card looked really good when it came out. But for the most part, I was right around Breakthrough Skill. There's a bunch of them. You guys can watch the previous videos. It's been a while since I released these, but anyways, this would basically be a market watch for you guys. But I feel like, you know, the ban list is coming out pretty soon. This card is a hot card to go for. I really feel like it's one of the best cards. I want to make a video talking about how amazing number 101 Silent Honor Ark is, because this card is ridiculous. But anyways, thanks for watching. Felt like I left out any of these really hot cards that are going to be going up or down in price simply because of the ban list. And hey, let me know in the comment section below. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Asian Eyes out.